Discover our collection of handcrafted candles. That's right, every product is thoughtfully created in small batches free from harmful toxins for mindful everyday indulgence. Our candles are hand-poured in coconut soy wax with natural wood wicks, offering a long-lasting burn and rich fragrances. Create a cozy, safe ambiance for your home with candles from Alley Rose Fragrances. First-time customers use the promo code InsideEdge20 to receive 20% off your order. AlleyRoseFragrances.com, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Podcast Network. Find us on InsideEdgeNetwork.com for the latest information on your favorite shows, personalities, and network partners. Plus, guess what? We have a merch shop. That's right, we have network polos, t-shirts, champion jackets, hats, and bottles. Rep the network. Every purchase supports independent sports and entertainment media. Use the QR code on your screen right now to check out InsideEdgeNetwork.com. That's InsideEdgeNetwork.com.
Fanatics isn't just our name, it's who we are. Loyal, passionate fans dedicated to our favorite teams and to the sports we love. That's why we're honored to be able to offer fans the world's largest collection of official sports apparel and sports jerseys from all the leagues, teams, and players you love. We feature a wide selection of gear from every league, including NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA merchandise, which allows us to serve fans of football, baseball, hockey, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, golf, and everything else that gets your heart pumping. Go to Fanatics.com by using the QR code on your screen right now to celebrate your teams.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Inside Edge Primetime here on the Inside Edge Network. Man, we are so excited to be back with you. Chad, Bryan, am I right? You're right. I'm Eli Moon. We're back in the saddle here on your Wednesday edition of Inside Edge Primetime. So excited to be with y'all and back in the saddle, on the saddle, in the saddle, on the saddle. Been trying to figure that out all day. I've been researching, Chad, and I don't know what it is exactly, but you know what? We're whatever it is, we're saddling.
You're gonna end up taking horse riding lessons, man. You're gonna end up in horseback like class or something.
Sure am. You know, it's good to be back with all of you. Good to be back with my bro Chad Bryan. We're here with you every day of the week. That is weeknights, 10 to 11 p.m. And if you're enjoying the content we've had for you all week long and all of the content, make sure you like, subscribe, follow at Inside Edge Net on all the socials. You see it there: YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch. Stay locked in with Chad and I. And of course, Unfiltered, 5 to 6 p.m. with Kyle Cornell, weekdays. That follows, gets us ready, leads up to Inside Edge Prime Time, and then you got Midnight Run with Anthony Alford, midnight to 1, weekdays, weeknights here on the Inside Edge Network. A lot of great weekly programming as well. Real Talk with Pop Moon, Saturdays at 5. Jersey Chasers, which just was on the air at 7:30. If you missed it, go back and watch it. Great show with Autumn and Christy, an absolutely great show. A lot of great programming here on the Inside Edge Network. You read about all your favorite personalities, Chad and I, Autumn, Christy, Double A, Kyle, Papa Moon, everybody at InsideEdgeNetwork.com. Go check the personalities page out. Also, go check out our partners page. That QR code right above Chad's head sends you to the partners page. That's right, Chad. Boom. You don't ever miss a step. And you go to the partners page. It takes you to W Energy, Monster Moments. You have sportsmemorabilia.com, fanatics.com, and AlleyRoseFragrances.com. We appreciate our partners. Couldn't do it without you. Couldn't do it without you at home. So we appreciate you. And until the end of May, so this last week of May, we have that promo code Insider still running, 20% off your order at the shop. Get your windbreaker, your mug, your polo, your shirt, your hat, whatever have you, 20% off. And rep the network, rep Cleveland's digital leader, and your source for sports, entertainment, mental health conversations, news, and everything in between. InsideEdgeNetwork.com. All right, Chad Bryan, how are you feeling on this Wednesday, my bro?
I'm good. I don't know if I'm in the saddle or on the saddle, but I'm back somewhere. I'm horse adjacent, and I'm feeling pretty good. That's all I know.
Yeah. Good. Very well. I've been trying to sit here and think about it all day. Like, okay, the Kenny Atkinson news came out yesterday. Kyle broke it down on the show. We talked a little bit about it, and I've been sitting here just trying to think about these Cavaliers. And maybe that's partially the reason why I've had a headache most of the day. Maybe that's why I've been sick to my stomach. When you think of these Cleveland Cavaliers, there's a lot to unpack. And we talked about Kenny Atkinson a little bit yesterday. I think there's a discussion to be had today, and this is where my mind's been about the front office. Now, Kobe Altman was made, it was clear as day that he's going to be back as the leader of that front office for Dan Gilbert, for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I have a tough time thinking what happens if Mike Gansey ends up leaving the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, Mike Gansey in that front office as well, right there, side by side, with Kobe Altman. Right now, he's an executive, currently the general manager for the Cleveland Cavaliers when Kobe Altman moved up in the organization. And he's been linked to a few different teams, Chad. He's been linked specifically to the Sixers. He's one of the last 4 candidates, and maybe a few other teams as well. I brought this up on Midnight Run yesterday about Mike Gansey, right? And you wonder, it happens all the time in football, it happens in basketball, it happens all in every sport. When you're talking about the front office and who's really making the calls and who's really linked in, I wonder how much of a loss it would be to lose Mike Gansey. Obviously, you never want to lose your general manager, but if you have the faith in Kobe Altman, it shouldn't worry you too much. How much has Mike Gansey really been involved in Dan Gilbert's ear? Was it Kobe Altman that went up to Dan Gilbert and said, we need to make a move, we got to do this, core 4, we might have to tear something down? Or was it Mike Gansey? So I've really been keeping an eye on that. That's been one of my big storylines because we talk about roster construction and we've given a lot of kudos to Kobe Altman for being the leader of building the core 4 originally with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, and Evan Mobley, right? We remember Kobe Altman even drafting Colin Sexton. I mean, he's been here for quite some time. But you wonder how much he's had control of the roster and has had this say. Or has it been Mike Gansey really running the ship? Which I'd have some concerns there too, because if Darius Garland, the best trade option you could get is 36-year-old James Harden, then I have some questions there too. But am I tripping, or does it feel like Mike Gansey might have a little bit more of a impact here than we're realizing in case he does leave to Philadelphia or wherever else?
It's hard to say. I mean, sometimes this is like when we try to take a look at the Cleveland Browns and as you like to say, pull back the curtain a little bit, right? And try to see like what's really going on behind the scenes. With the Browns, it's a little more obvious that Jimmy Haslam has some influence, we'll say. It's pretty obvious that I think a lot of the decisions are Haslam driven, right? With the Browns. But really it's kind of like the whole which part of this is Andrew Berry and what did Paul DePodesta do? And was Kevin Stefanski, did he have any input on, draft picks or especially on the offense? I mean, was he responsible for them bringing 2 quarterbacks in last year? It's sort of like when we speculate on that, it's hard to know really. And they're not going to come off of it, right? Like, there's never going to be a point where Dan Gilbert's going to come out and like write the letter in Comic Sans and say, "Hey, look, Mike Gansey did this and Kobe Altman did that, and I said yes, I said no, whatever." They're never going to come off that information. So, and they shouldn't. They don't. We don't need to know everything. I think some of that stuff it should stay internal, right? So it's hard to say. We'll find out if he leaves and things go immediately south or immediately north or stay the same. I guess that's the only way we'll really know if he leaves, and we'll see how things go, how they progress from there. But it also depends on who they bring in to replace him and if they have any say. And I mean, at this point, the Cavaliers organization, it feels like it's been, I don't want to say well-oiled because it's not like they're out here winning championships every year, but they compete, right? They've rebuilt after LeBron. There's it reminds me of, we had Cher on last week for Wayback Wednesday, right? Her birthday.
Yeah.
Do you believe in life after love, right? Like the Cavaliers had this like 4-year love with LeBron that went to the finals. And we thought, man, we'll never get back here. And we came close this year. We got to the Eastern Conference Finals. They unfortunately, they laid down and took a nap for 4 games. But, they're the NBA will show you that the last 4 teams to lose in the Eastern Conference Finals then went on to go to the finals, right? So,
yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you believe in if you believe in trusting the process, to use the 76ers thing, speaking of Philadelphia, Gansey is a candidate there. Then the Cavaliers are on track and they should be in the NBA Finals next year. So all worry aside, they'll be fine. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's tracking that way right now. I mean, with this current roster, I don't know that they just, they blow through a healthy Celtics team or the Knicks. I mean, who knows if the Knicks will be on whatever the Knicks are on right now. It's not sustainable, right? They're not going to go 82-0 next year and then ride through the play. I mean, they're going to have down periods, and maybe their down period will come in May. We don't know. They're really just hot right now, right? The Knicks. And we'll see what happens when they have to go out west or just host whatever team comes out of the West. But I don't know. I guess that was a long way of saying, Eli, I don't know.
Fair. No, fair. I mean, there's a lot of ties with Mike Gansey. He's out of Olmsted Falls.
Yeah.
He played high school ball from 97 to 01 at Olmsted Falls High School, went on the St. Bonaventure. Even West Virginia, he had some time there. But interesting thing too is him and Kobe Altman, Gansey and Kobe Altman, that being, are both 43 years old, right? So if you're the Cavaliers, you've had two guys that, in one way or another have been very integral in terms of putting this roster together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if the Cavaliers are kind of stuck in a spot right now where it's like, okay, who's going to make the calls here, Kobe Altman or Mike Gansey? And I guess we'll find out if he does go to Philadelphia and they start turning it around. I mean, you can't do much worse than what Daryl Morey did. And I defended Daryl Morey to a T, a little bit with Philadelphia being like, is that really the reason why you just won your first Game 7, the Joel Embiid era? I don't understand. But there were some mistakes there, trading Jared McCain for a first rounder because you couldn't find a spot for him in the rotation. Last time I checked, Jared McCain started yesterday in a Western Conference Finals game for the Oklahoma City Thunder and pieced up the Spurs a few games ago for 24, 26 points off the bench. So you can't excuse some of those things. And that's why Mike Gansey's a discussion point, one of those talking points. I just have been thinking about it. And I guess we won't know until the next season or whatever moves are made. But if Mike Gansey leaves, I will say this: if Mike Gansey leaves the Cavaliers organization, I think that's a bigger loss than a lot of people are going to talk about. And yes, okay, well, no brainer, Eli. He's the GM of the team, right? But we also run in an organization where Kobe Altman's been making a lot of calls and has worked his way up into that position. So I think about all that, and I just wonder, okay, are we going to make another mistake when it comes to the front office? We talk all the time about, do we have the right head coach? Mm-hmm. Well, the front office could look a lot different if Gansey chooses to depart. And I just have been thinking about that today, especially with a bunch of the moves that are still needed to be made on the table or potential moves. The LeBron rumors are going to continue to heat up as we get into the summer. Giannis, we can say his name out loud now finally, Chad. He's going to be available. Yeah, he's going to be available, and he's going to be, somebody the Cavaliers will look into. Some other names as well. Kyle Cornell on Unfiltered did his top 5 free agent list. I think a lot of that's going to be very indicative based off of how they go with the general manager position and how they secure where they're going to go. Because I think there might be two different visions when it comes to Gansey and Altman. Altman believes in this core four. Gansey might be more aligned with Gilbert. And this is just my speculation. He might be more aligned with Gilbert in terms of let's get Dan a ring. Let's get Cleveland a ring.
What it takes,
Exactly. So I think there's two different mindsets there. And again, I'd be curious to hear, and see, maybe we'll get, Spencer Davies or one of the other Cavaliers beat reporters and try to get like a better feel of like this Gansey situation. Because if it catches some steam, I think it could be something interesting there.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I wonder too is like sometimes when you make a change in the front office, with a professional franchise, I think a lot of times it's a whole regime change, right? Like you don't just bring in one guy. Especially because, like you said, Kobe Altman and Gansey have had this working relationship. Now, you bring in a new GM, and is he more of just kind of like a figurehead? Is he more like what is his role? Like, let's say, okay, you and I we go to interview, for the Cavs GM position, which I would be criminally underqualified, but that's okay. I got in somehow. I got in the building, and I walk in there and I start to think like they're asking me questions, and I'm like, man, Gansey and Altman have been doing this a while with Dan Gilbert, and they've got this thing. Like, what am I really like? What are my responsibilities here? Like, what am I going to be called on to do? Because I'm not going to be the guy that's going to come in day one. Say I get the job, right? Criminally underqualified. I get the interview. I get the job. Pretty good at interviews, right?
Congrats.
Thanks. Appreciate you. I just first of all, I want to thank everyone that made this possible. Resume built. No, I'm kidding.
You're still going to work for the network though at that point, right? I'd imagine.
It depends on, I don't know my time. Yeah, I'm just not sure what the time requirements are going to be with the I'll have to talk to Dan. Okay. I'll get back to you. Fair. As soon as I know anymore. I'm checking my email here to make sure I don't have any schedules or anything going on. I might have to go. No, that's optional. Okay. No. Okay, I get hired, and I come in and I go, okay, I'm the GM. All right. Listen, let's blow this thing up. Let's get Evan out of here. Let's get Jarrett out of here. Let's get Donovan out of here. Let's get Giannis. Let's start making some. Let's do whatever. They're gonna look at me like, bro, you know what I mean? Like you can't really come in as the brand new GM, and this thing has been cooking for years, right? And now you're coming in and you're flipping. Stuff's not ready to flip, and you're turning burners up. You're trying to get maybe that's rocking the boat a little too much. So I think it's like whoever comes in as the new GM, it's going to be like this. It's like stepping delicately, right? Like to kind of figure out what your role is, what the expectations are for you, where you fit in, what kind of what people always talk, what kind of power you have in the organization. So I think that's it's a whole discussion. I mean, I think these are good questions for some of the Cavs beat writers that we may be able to have on here, but because I surely don't know, and I think that's an interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff there,
Yeah, because you wonder, we're not going to get Masai Ujiri in here. I mean, he's obviously moved on to a different team now. At this point, he's looking to elevate another team after Toronto. He's looking to continue doing what he's done across multiple franchises. Here now, you see with the Cavaliers. To your point, they're probably not going to get a guy in here that is going to make all the calls, move some pieces, and we're not getting David Griffin back here, right? We're not going to get a guy that's going to come in here and be like, this is what we need to do to get to a championship. So that would mean if a Gansey departure happens, this is Kobe Altman's call. And everything Kobe Altman's shown in his GM tenure and front office tenure with the Cavaliers, he likes to be patient and he likes to see things through, whether that means feeling pain for 4 to 5 years with second round exits and now Eastern Conference final exit, or however have it. That's where he's kind of been. And I just wonder how that aligns with Dan Gilbert and what he's saying. Double A brought up on the show yesterday on Midnight Run. Again, midnight, right after us here, weeknights, midnight to 1 on the Inside Edge Network. But you check that out. If you missed it yesterday, go back and listen because Double A brought up some points about Gansey and Gilbert, especially Gilbert, about, hey, he talked about wanting to win. He's very passionate about winning, but then he brings back Kenny Atkinson the next morning, says everybody's back. Don't worry, we're going to really just address the roster. I wonder how much a GM shakeup would matter. And I would assume, right, that the Cavaliers are going to keep Mike Gansey in-house, do everything they can to keep him, whether it means having to give a little bit more money to keep him in-house, whatever. I think that's something that's not being talked about a ton, but I think it's something that would be talked about a ton if he were to leave the Cavaliers.
Yeah, maybe they can give him a 1% ownership stake.
Yeah, either just get
else just picked up one of those in a pro team here in Cleveland.
Yeah, and shout out Mr. Kelsey, as Chad's alluding to, Travis Kelsey, getting a minority stake. He's a minority owner in the Cleveland Guardians. Cleveland Heights guy. If you're just tuning in from across the world, you're wondering why we're talking about Travis Kelsey and he's not a Cleveland Brown. It's because he's a Cleveland Heights graduate. He's very, very loved here in Cleveland. He shows a ton of support. Comes back when he can. He even had him and his girlfriend as they addressed on NBA TV, or on ESPN. And his girlfriend's there with them.
Yeah, there was a lot of speculation on who she was, right? Like, who's Travis Kelsey's girlfriend? Who is that mysterious?
Yeah,
she's pretty famous in her own right.
She's performed a few times in that arena, and done a few tours. But yeah, Taylor Swift, and I've heard a few speculations. We'll talk about this for a moment before we go to break here, Chad. I've heard a few speculations about Kelsey, and they're saying, hey, what happens if the Guardians need to go on a run here in a few years? And, they could talk to Taylor Swift after, she's made some more money and they might want to fund to go. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, really what Kelsey did, and I don't blame him. This isn't like this is not throwing shade. I mean, this is a guaranteed return on investment, right? Like you put, we think it's a 1% stake. No terms have been disclosed officially, but we think it's a 1% stake, which would put it at about $17 million. Basically,
hey, what did I tell you about talk about food? We're not going to talk about steak tonight.
Steak, that's my fault. I did say, yeah. Well, anyway, I think it was well done of him, which is terrible. Which is a terrible way to eat steak.
Terrible.
So maybe should have gone a different route. But yeah, so let's say you put in $17 million. In 10 years, that $17 million stake, did it again, is going to be worth 40 million, 35 million, whatever. So like I said, it's a guaranteed return on investment. I mean, it's essentially stocks for rich people, right? But there's no gamble. I mean, you invest in a professional sports team, the value doesn't go down. That just simply does not happen. So, it's like no. I want to say no stake again.
No portion.
Low risk, high reward, right? You're not going to lose that money. You're going to get money back. So, that's all it is. I mean, he's not. I saw people like pleading with him on social media. Like, can we please sign a free agent now? Can you ask Taylor if that's not how that works. Like, she's not going to go. Like, you saw her go into her purse and give him a piece of gum. Like, she's going to go into her purse and pick out like Yordan Alvarez. Like, here you go, Guardians. Like that's not how that's going to work. But and people are asking him to change the name back from Guardians. It's a 1% minority. Like, again, like he's not going to come in and be like, okay, here's what we're doing. Like, hey, come on, dude.
We're changing them we're the Cleveland Mahomes. All right, you guys wanted the name changed for the Cleveland Mahomes.
The KCs. We're going to be the KCs. Yeah, that's not how that stuff works. He doesn't have any decision making. He's just, like I said, it's a guaranteed return on investment. Good for him. Good for him for having the money to, and he and his brother just signed $100 million deal for their podcast. So, good for them. You know what I mean? They have the money to do those things. I absolutely would do those things. If I had that opportunity, I would do that as well. So
would it be the Braves? Would it be the Braves for you?
I mean, probably, yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind having a 1%. Listen, if Braves ownership is listening, I got some. I can maybe shake out. I can come up with a few bucks. May not be 1%. It might be point and some zeros, and then a 1%. But I could come up with something, right?
And he's got a mean drum roll.
I mean,
and if that doesn't, I mean,
yeah, that's like $7 right there.
That was $7, buddy. You gotta price a little bit higher, buddy. Look,
right? But it's a
return.
This
economy.
I invest $7 now in the Braves, and in 20 years, that $7 is worth $8.31. So I mean, I'm doing pretty good
in this economy, brother. For what you just did right there, you playing the drums like that, that's got to be worth more than a couple more dollars on a gallon of gas.
I don't know, man. That might not even be a gallon of gas here in a couple weeks. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Well, hey, hopefully you geared up the diesel or gathered up. Excuse me. My goodness, so excited for Wayback Wednesday. I hope you gathered up the diesel. No kerosene this week. I hope you are ready to go. We got Wayback Wednesday later on in the show. Chad went way back, way back. On May 27th, what happened on this day? We'll find out throughout history together. I got my fingers crossed that he makes it back to me because goodness gracious, I sit here and I talk to. We're gonna pull the curtain back for a moment before we go to break. Yeah. I talked to the Bryan household, and I've talked to Chad's wife. Yeah. And Mrs. Bryan's awesome. I've talked to the kiddos. I've chatted with both of them, and I said, look, yeah, I understand you guys are putting a lot of faith in me on Inside Edge Primetime to make sure that your dad, your husband makes it back to 2026. So far, so good. But after last week, I'm not going to disclose the call we got, but I got a pretty good talking to, and I'm trying to stay in the good graces of the Bryan household. So did you grab the right stuff this time?
Listen, this is what happens when you marry a Sicilian. You get pretty good talking to every once in a while. Yes, no kerosene. I safely dumped that in the yard. I didn't do that.
The yard? Wait.
No, I didn't do that. Sorry, EPA. That did not happen. No kerosene in the yard. No, I've got the diesel. The time machine is all fueled up with it cost me some money. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little more expensive than I wanted it to be, but it's full. I foresee no problems with making it back tonight. I think I'll be fine.
All right, good. All right. Well, we'll see if Chad makes it back later on tonight, Wayback Wednesday, later on in the hour. And of course, before we get into that, we're going to talk some Guardians. Baseball is in full swing. Guardians in top of this AL Central, one of the top teams in the American League. We're going to talk about the Guardians, where they're at right now. We may talk a little bit about this roster and where they could improve. Kyle Cornell was mentioned earlier on Unfiltered, and I know he's not necessarily a Guardians fan, so I understand where he comes from a little bit with this, but saying we are going to play mediocre to at times good baseball or, middling. I have news for you, pal. Kyle, I hope you're listening because I love you. And I also want to let you know that the Guardians have the same amount of wins as the New York Yankees do currently today. So let's relax. I mean, I understand it, and it's coming from me, okay? It's coming from me where I've been so critical of the Cleveland Guardians and just the way they don't spend. However, we'll talk about it after the break. Patrick Bailey brought in a big trade to shore up the defensive side catcher-wise. Travis Bazzana called up. I wouldn't say this Guardians team is not going to buy this year in the deadline. Now, does this mean for the existence? I'm not, because I know Kyle's probably going to listen to this. Yankees have always spent more than the Guardians. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that. But this time around, I'm going to talk about after the break, and I'm curious Chad's thoughts about why the Guardians may be the biggest buyer in the American League this trade deadline. So we'll talk about that when we come back here. That's Chad Bryan, my bro. To my right, your right, everybody's right. Everybody's right. I'm Eli Moon. This is Inside Edge Primetime here on the Inside Edge Network. We are back right after this.
Did you hear what Donovan Mitchell had to say about James Harden? Okay, fine. It is what it is. I understand defending your teammate, but this idea that it's a bad thing for us to expect championships, this whole anti-ring culture thing, it really bothers me. And we talked on Midnight Run last night about the losing mentality that the Cavaliers have. Like, it's something that they're just, this is who they are. This is in their DNA. They don't know any better. They don't want to get any better. Anywho, we got a little unhinged. We talked about that last night. I'm sure there's going to be more news tonight in relation to Dan Gilbert choosing to retain Kenny Atkinson and the front office. And also, Guardians, come on. We start to watch you, and now you're, come on. Don't get swept out of Nationals. Please. Also, it is Wednesday, which means your favorite segment's back. Myself, Eli, and Omar, we got Midnight Conversations. That's coming up tonight at midnight. It's Midnight Run. Each and every single weeknight, rather. I get so excited about Midnight Conversations. I stuttered a little bit. But don't judge me. Midnight Run at midnight right here on the Inside Edge Network.
Clean energy, bold flavors, and no jitters. See why people won't shut up about Dubby. Clean energy, no jitters or crash. Whether you're starting your workday or getting ready to exercise, Dubby Energy helps you lock in and focus. With over 15 flavors to choose from, you can't miss. Order Dubby Energy right now by using the QR code on your screen and use the promo code InsideEdge10 to receive 10% off your order. Dubby Energy, your energy-focused sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Mosser Moments Photography is a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland, owned and operated by Inside Edge Network's very own Ryan Mosser and his wife, Hallie. For the past 10 years, they've captured more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond, always working together as a true two-person team. Their style centers on authentic, emotional storytelling, documenting the real moments between two people in love and creating images that feel natural, comfortable, and true to the couple. Rooted in Northern Ohio but inspired by their travels, Ryan and Hallie bring a warm, personal approach to every wedding day. Their work blends experience, consistency, and a genuine passion for helping couples relive their best day through timeless photography. Learn more at MosserMomentsPhotography.com by using the QR code on your screen right now. MosserMomentsPhotography.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
And welcome back to Inside Edge Primetime here on the Inside Edge Network. Chad Bryan to my right, which means he's over to your right. I'm Eli Moon. We are back in the saddle here, on the saddle, in the saddle, on the saddle. In Inside Edge Primetime, on Inside Edge Primetime here on the Inside Edge Network. Thanks for being around and hanging out with your pals, Chad and I. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow at Inside Edge Net on all the socials. Keep up with us and keep up with all the daily and weekly programming at YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Inside Edge Net, and the website, InsideEdgeNetwork.com. Read about your favorite personalities like Chad and I and everybody that does a great job across the network. Go check out the partners page. Couldn't do without them. Could not do without you at home. We appreciate you. And for that, we want to give you a promo code till the end of May. 20% off your order with the code INSIDER at the shop. Get your mugs, get your shirts, get your polos, get your hats, get your windbreakers. Yes, windbreakers. Kyle's not going to get me tomorrow for that one. InsideEdgeNetwork.com is where you're going to want to be. My goodness, a lot of great stuff there. All right, Chad, we are back and rocking and rolling. We're going to talk Guardians, but I know before we get in the Guardians, how do you brush your teeth?
Once a week. No.
Oh, no.
Kidding. Okay. So I know why you're asking me this. Listen, there are certain things that are non-negotiable. When you're brushing your teeth, which you should do at least twice a day, according to the American Dentist Association, by the way.
Okay, dentist.
Well, hey, sometimes you gotta know what you're talking about, right? You don't want to rub the enamel right off of it. You don't want to brush like 9 times a day, right? You don't want to do it too many times, but you should do it at least twice, right? Keep it clean, whatever. It used to be like after every meal, but now they say twice a day, or else you lose some enamel.
What happens if you eat 5 meals? You got to brush 5 times a day.
That's what it used to be. Yeah. If you were, sometimes we get hungry. We talk about Memorial Day cookout foods, and sometimes we're gonna go have a full meal at 12:30 at night. It's fine. That does not contribute to our clothes in our closet shrinking at all in any way. That doesn't have anything to do with that. So
weird how that works. Weird.
That's a different mystery. We'll figure that out another time. I also got to figure out why when I stand on the scale, the numbers keep going up. I think that's weird.
Well, if it's like a stock, that's a good thing. If the numbers are going up,
we'll see.
All right.
Is that a return on my investment then? So if I'm okay, anyway, certain things are non-negotiable, right? You grab the toothpaste and you put a little bit of. Here's what I do. Okay, and I'm very well versed in this because I'm still
give us a representation.
Yeah, I'm working with my son on the whole process. Okay, so here's my toothbrush, which would be a weird toothbrush.
It's a little dangerous toothbrush. Is that electric?
You gotta watch your stuff. You don't want to click it, or you could end up with something different on your teeth. So you take the toothpaste and you the big thing is you squeeze all the toothpaste to the top, right? You take it all from the bottom. You don't end up with like a bunch of lumps everywhere, right? You move it all up to the top, and then you put a little bit of water, right, on the toothbrush, and then you just squeeze a little bit of toothpaste out onto about a pea size or maybe a little bit more, whatever, onto the toothbrush. That's onto the toothbrush. That's where you put the toothpaste.
Where on the toothbrush though? Like on the...
Yeah, I should have been more. Yeah, right on the handle, right on the bristles, right? I didn't think I had to say that here, but you're right. So this reminds me of in 6th grade. We did this whole presentation, and we had to teach the class how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And the important thing was like being very clear and concise with your directions. So a lot of kids were like, you take the bread and you put the peanut butter on it. And the teacher was like, okay. So that she would put the jar of peanut butter right on the loaf of bread. They're like, no. You put the knife in the peanut butter. You have to open it up, and then she'd spread it on the unopened loaf of bread. It got wild. It got heck unhinged even. Yeah, it could be a midnight conversation type of thing. But you put the toothpaste right on the bristles, on the on the brush part, and then you go to town. You clean your teeth.
You don't put the water again. You don't put water again after you put the
sometimes if it feels like it needs it. Yeah, if it's
I'm not usually water on the toothbrush before the toothpaste. I'm like toothpaste then water. Unless I'm feeling froggy and I'm feeling like elegant that day, then maybe I'll do like water before the toothpaste.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. But
yeah, sometimes it's just like you can't, especially if the brush has been sitting all night and it's kind of dry. You don't want to raw dog in there. It feels bad.
No. We need some water on those situations. Listen, I think
that was a poor choice of words, but yeah, I think
a little raw. Good thing we're on at 10:30 at night.
It's family portion of the show's over, or the network is over for the day.
Yeah.
So let's just show you, and forgive the background sound of the what. Bryce Harper's going to have to learn a little bit about content creation and, sound and some things like that. But just watch a quick 35-second video of, in my opinion.
Chad, I'm already allergic to what he's about to do. I'm like sneezing over here.
I had a visceral reaction to this. The first time I saw this, let me just watch the video.
Yeah.
You have a chance. Flower. then possibly toothbrush, toothpaste. Also, another thing I love about the West Coast.
Perfectly fine. Yeah, I'm allergic to it. I'm allergic to it.
I named that file. What is happening here?
Yeah,
Did
I
you
saw that.
did you catch it? I feel like there was a show. It's called Paranormal Calling. Sometimes it'll be on late night. You catch it on TV. They'll be like, "Did you catch it?" And it's like, "Yes, I caught it. It was a giant fake Bigfoot running across the whatever." So I don't know if you caught it. I don't know if I need to do like a spot shadow. He physically took a hit of the toothpaste, put it right in his mouth, and then he was like, he couldn't understand it anyway. It doesn't matter. Not a single word out of that. Tongue scraping, something. I don't know if you would buy a tongue. I don't know what he said. Doesn't matter.
By a tongue.
Yeah,
Wrong show. Wrong show.
Listen, he lost all credibility when he shot the toothpaste directly into his mouth. What in the hell is that?
That was questionable behavior from a guy who's, I mean, already fed up with the Phillies front office, and maybe he's just giving them reason to trade him. Like, I mean, maybe
that's the reason that Philly's going to want him out of there after seeing that. Listen, there was a time when I would absolutely take Bryce Harper on my baseball team. I would love to see him in that Braves lineup. I was going to say outfield. It doesn't play out. Well, he plays outfield a little bit, first base, whatever. I don't care. We'd find a spot for him, right? DH, it'd be great. The whole, Orlando Arcia thing where, the attaboy Harper, and then, Harper came back the next night and hit an absolute bomb and stared Arcia down. I'm not going to lie, man. Yeah, as a Braves fan, I was like, whatever. But as a competitor and as an athlete, man, I looked at it, I was like, okay, all right. Like,
yeah,
I loved it, right? Like, you get called out the night before, and the next night you come out on the field and you absolutely just shove it right down Arcia's throat. That was fantastic, but not toothpaste.
Don't shove toothpaste down your throat.
Yeah, no. What was like what?
Yeah.
Does anybody? I don't know if anybody's paying attention to that. Does anybody? Is there anyone else in the world that does it that way? Please, if you're watching, and you can find your way safely to the comments, like don't text and drive or anything. But I hope you're not watching us if you're driving. It's incredibly reckless. But if you are watching from a safe place and you can type on your phone, please let me know in the comments if that's how you put the toothpaste into your mouth.
My question is too,
right?
Yeah, and my question is too, like, I mean, is he sharing that toothpaste tube with anybody, or is that like a personal one?
I don't know. I think he's got enough money to probably not need a roommate at this point.
Yeah, but isn't he? Is he married? Is Bryce Harper married?
Don't know.
I mean, like, yeah, he's married. So I mean, his wife Kayla Varner. Maybe they're sharing the tube of paste.
I don't know.
I don't know.
My wife and I use different toothpaste. Not a personal preference thing, but not because I fire it off into my mouth every night when I brush my teeth. That's bizarre behavior, man. Listen, there's a lot of things you can do that I just don't care about, right? That's one of those things where I'm like, do I want him on the Braves now? I don't know. Do you remember at one point where he was actually upset about this? His brother showed a video of him. They were going out. He was doing his hair, and he had 2 blow dryers, and he was using 2 blow dryers, one on each side. That's how he gets his hair to stand up.
I'm gonna try that.
It's like Marge Simpson-esque, man. It was like the hair was like standing up. It turned blue at one point. But yeah, that's that. He was actually pretty upset with his brother for letting that video get out. So I don't know if that was a joke, the 2 blow dryers, but he did this to himself willingly. This is a cry for help. I think this is please get me out of Philadelphia. If I put the toothpaste directly into my mouth, the city of Philadelphia will turn on me. This organization will have no choice but to trade me. I think that's what that was.
It was, it had to be something, pal, because that was unhinged. He belongs on Double A's midnight run, midnight conversations on midnight run tonight. We'll see if we can get Bryce Harper on there.
See if we can get him on there. He'll have toothpaste. You won't be able to understand him.
All right,
scraping your tongue. I don't know, whatever.
Hilarious. All right, we got a few minutes left in the segment. Let's talk about those Guardians for a minute here, Chad. They because I know you can talk about toothpaste for the next 5 to 10 minutes, but we're gonna get you out of that.
Really good. I've been looking forward to this day, and it's finally here, and now you're taking it. But that's fine.
We're gonna get this. We're gonna get away from that before you go into a circle, a hamster wheel with toothpaste. Guardians winners 3-2 over the Nationals. They avoid the sweep today, and I got some thoughts. We don't have a ton of time left in the segment. I'll expand a little bit more tomorrow, but I think the Guardians are gonna be the biggest buyers at the MLB trade deadline.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, not just American League even. I know I said before the break American League. I think they're going to be the biggest buyers in the Major League. I
Okay.
think they've already shown they can do it with Patrick Bailey going out and getting a defensive catcher who, okay, you can hit a home run here. They're a little better bat than Bo Naylor. And we'll take that. They went out and were aggressive there. They brought Bazan up. They're going to talk about bringing up Ralphie Velasquez and some of these other guys, Cooper Ingle even at catcher. Some of these guys that are ready to go potentially. I think they're going to look out for another bat or an arm or whatever. I don't know what they're going to do per se. Double E's got some thoughts. So you have to check out Midnight Run tonight, what he listened to on Detroit radio for him to bring back to Midnight Run and have a conversation. We talked a little bit about it, but we'll let Double A expand about it a little bit more later on in the next hour or at midnight, I guess, about an hour and a half or so, hour 15, who's counting. But, then we look at some other guys too. I was thinking for a moment, like, how serious are the Royals about, like, going with this current core? And they have a good core, but, like, if the right price hit, would Bobby Witt be available? If, some of these other teams, you look at, like, Boston's, like, down and out for the most part. Could you go get a bat off of Boston? Could you go look at Baltimore? I know I talked about Pete Alonso. That's probably a pipe dream because of the contract they gave him.
Yeah.
But could they look at some of these other guys on the team? Even thinking like Minnesota for a minute. I know division trades are a little weird. Byron Buxton. I mean, they can get some more speed on the bases. The guy that's going to be reliable for the most part. I know he gets injured at time to time, but for the most part, it's been healthier, I'd say, over the last couple of years.
I do not think the Twins will trade Byron Buxton within this division. I don't think they'll send him. I mean, the Guardians would have to give up maybe almost an entire minor league. They'd have to send.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. But I think they're ready for those types of moves. Is I guess my point. Like I think they're ready. Maybe not Buxton, but I think they're ready to move off of Ingle, Velasquez, Cal Steven. I know you love them, but some of these guys to go like they did in 2016 and go for the chip. They brought Andrew Miller and they were going to try to get Jonathan Lucroy in too before he complained his way out of a World Series berth because he stayed in Milwaukee, I believe, that year, and nothing really worked out for Mr. Lucroy. But that's whatever now at this point. My point being that the Guardians really could be aggressive, and I think they will be aggressive. I think you could see them really open up in terms of the farm system, who they're going to give up. Stephen Kwan, a guy we brought up, is kind of being moved around in that lineup, kind of, not the everyday leadoff hitter like he once was, that all-star, the gold glove, all that great jazz. Yeah. Stephen Kwan could be on the move and could be dangled as one of those top guys you could trade off of. It could be very, very interesting if you're the Guardians, and I think they're going to be super aggressive. In fact, the most aggressive team in Major League Baseball come this trade deadline because of where the AL stands. The AL right now, we've talked about it, the AL is not in a great spot in terms of teams above 500. You got the Rays 34-19, Yankees right below them at 34-22. Then you got the Guardians at 33-25 in the American League Central. White Sox still hanging around there, Chad, 28-27.
See you in August.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. But that's it. That's it. 4 teams. Yeah. That are above 500 right now. And they're in 2 divisions. That means, the West is struggling to stay above 500. So why wouldn't they strike right now before a lockout? Okay, you can reset after the lockout. If you don't want to keep these guys forever, that's fine. Figure it out after. But I think they're going to go for broke to win it. It's going to be something we haven't seen out of the Guardians. But I think with that, David Blitzer, keep in mind David Blitzer, who is the minority owner, but, majority owner, I believe as well. He has a good portion of stakes, not food, but stakes in the Guardians. Well and the fact that the Dolans could hand off responsibility. So maybe this is like the Dolans going, hey, we're going to go in. Maybe this is one of their last years. And I'm not speculating here. I guess I am, but I don't have any insider information on that. But maybe this is one of their last years with like, we're going to go for broke. We're going to bring in guys that can win a championship for us. We can get that championship we were waiting for. And then you know what? They're going to hand off the keys after the lockout.
Well, and I'll tell you why I do disagree with you. And I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. The Guardians, I don't think right now financially where they stand, I think they're going to stay. They're going to stay on that path of not overextending themselves, right? They tend to not really go after the biggest 4 or 5, 6 free agent guys on the market, right? Whether it's pitching or whether it's a bat or whatever, they tend to kind of stay in that middle range. And again, that's financially that's where they are. That's where they're comfortable. They're a mid-market team. That's where they stay. B, I don't think a lot of people know exactly what the terms are going to be when baseball comes back. I almost said if. It's going to come back. But I just don't think people know exactly what, the collective bargaining agreement is going to look like. So I don't know if you're a team like the Guardians without a ton of capital, without a ton of you're not the Dodgers, not the Yankees, not the Cubs, the Red Sox, the Mets, whatever. I don't think they're going to go all in right now. I really think they're looking – I think you could see them bring in a guy like Freddie Peralta from the Mets. They've been linked to Peralta. He's in the last year of a 5-year, I think like $15-16 million contract. He's going to make $8 million this year, right in the Guardians range. He wants to sign a long-term deal. Would he stay in Cleveland? I don't know, but he's affordable. If you sign him to and again, the Guardians aren't, they don't go out and sign like a Chris Sale type of deal, right? Like a 7-year, 180 million, whatever. Freddie Peralta would be more around 7 years, maybe 65 million. The Guardians can afford that. And with Blitzer, I almost said Blitzen.
That's a reindeer.
Yeah, it's not that time of year. But with Blitzer coming over, they say that his full-time ownership could be he could be the full-time owner, the majority owner as soon as 2027. So in those cases, typically teams don't do a lot. There's not like a flurry of spending or of shedding of assets or things like that when that ownership is going to change over. So that's just a couple of reasons. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see, like I said, a guy like Peralta for the rotation, and maybe a couple of guys off the bench to kind of shore up the bench a little bit, because you've seen, Bo Naylor's struggled. Austin Hedges has played well in a backup role, but he's a little bit older now. So I think you might see them bring in not necessarily a catcher, but just someone off that bench that can be reliable in a pinch hitting, type of situation, who can maybe come in as a defensive replacement in, something like the ALCS or a world game and be trusted. But yeah, I don't think you're going to see a ton of spending right before A, the ownership change, and B, the new collective bargaining agreement for the Guardians.
Potentially, but you wonder what's in the back of the mind of the Dolans, right? Like they spent in 2016, they went in, they got close. They haven't really been big spenders or as aggressive as they were since 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So you wonder, with their legacy and everything like that too. You see Dan Gilbert right across the street. I was downtown for Game 3 pregame, walking around with my guy Cliche promoting his Cavs hype song, which did pretty well this postseason. Wish we could have played it a few more games, but it is what it is. But just how close they are in proximity. Dan Gilbert's spending money. He's bringing in all this, and he's trying to get to a championship before his ownership is he hands the reins off to whoever.
Yeah.
I wonder what the Dolans' mindset is too. I know we talk all the time about how, they're cheap, they don't spend money, this, that, this. I get it. I wonder what's in the back of their minds. Like, okay, this might be the year we could actually strike. Boston's out of it almost already. Baltimore, who we thought would be a little bit better, is out of it already. Yeah. You see these other teams, Detroit's falling apart. They're talking about blowing it all up. So you wonder, another name I keep in mind too is Mike Trout. Now you have to figure out the contracts, but he's a little bit older.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
$38 million a year for the next 3 or 4 years. That the Guardians are not going to take on that kind of contract.
I'm just saying.
The Angels say, hey, we'll pay 90% of it, which is very, very unlikely.
I think you could see him eat some of that contract because the Angels need arms. The Angels need arms. What do the Guardians have a ton of in the farm?
A bunch of arms. And what happened with Shohei Ohtani too? The Angels just saw Ohtani leave for nothing. My guess is that they want to get something for Trout, but he's not in a situation where he's very tradable right now, I don't think.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on it. That's some of my wish list. Trout's obviously at the top of the wish list, but we'll keep an eye. I do think I'll stand on it. I'll put my flag in the ground. The Guardians are going to be the biggest spender in the MLB trade deadline, and we'll revisit. Yeah, exactly. So we'll keep an eye on that. Guardians are winners, however, today 3-2. They avoid the sweep over the Nationals. They now move to 33-25. They are 3.5 up in the AL Central over the Chicago White Sox, and they're moving along here as we get ready for the summer. So keep an eye on those guys. And we'll keep an eye on Chad Bryan. He's going to start getting on his safety suit. He's going to get in the time machine. When we come back, it's going to be Wayback Wednesday. What happened on this date, May 27th, all the way in dates of history, years of time? Chad Bryan will find out. He's going to start loading up the diesel. Probably should have did that last break, but he's going to start loading it up now, and he's going to take a trip.
I didn't want to smell for this segment of the show. I didn't want it to smell. Yeah.
Fair. I mean, we're virtual, pal. So
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I was just trying to be thoughtful of the viewers, but you're right.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, we're going to load him up into the time machine. He's going to get loaded up over there because, again, we're virtual, so I can't help you, pal. But I'll give you emotional support. We'll do that during the break. You go grab your caffeine, your dinner, whatever you need. And when we come back, we'll see if Chad made it back here safely to 2026 to go over what happened on Wayback Wednesday. Coming up right here next on Inside Edge Primetime here on the Inside Edge Network. Chad Bryan, Eli Moon. We're back right after this.
Whether searching for a baseball autographed by your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by an iconic Hall of Famer, or the jersey of a world-famous soccer star, you've come to the right place. Here at sportsmemorabilia.com, the web's leading source of authentic sports memorabilia, you'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league, team, and players. Not only will you find your next prized sports possession with ease thanks to superb customer service and tremendous site experience, you'll have the satisfaction and peace of mind that every product listed comes complete with a certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by the sportsmemorabilia.com lifetime authenticity guarantee. Go to sportsmemorabilia.com by using the QR code on your screen right now. Sportsmemorabilia.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Podcast Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Clean energy, bold flavors, and no jitters. See why people won't shut up about Dubby. Clean energy, no jitters or crash. Whether you're starting your workday or getting ready to exercise, Dubby Energy helps you lock in and focus. With over 15 flavors to choose from, you can't miss. Order Dubby Energy right now by using the QR code on your screen and use the promo code InsideEdge10 to receive 10% off your order. Dubby Energy, your energy-focused sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Hey guys, awesome show today on Unfiltered. Broke down the big news. Travis Kelce.
And welcome back to Inside Edge Primetime here on the Inside Edge Network. I am Eli Moon. Has anyone seen Chad Bryan? Has anyone seen Chad Bryan? I'm Eli Moon. I'm here. We were supposed to do Wayback Wednesday. We do it every Wednesday. This dude just continually gets in a time machine. He has no clue what he's doing. Literally, absolutely zero clue what he's doing. Kerosene, diesel, it doesn't matter. Chicken sandwich list, Memorial Day cookout list, it doesn't matter. It truly does not matter anymore when it comes to getting Chad in this time machine. I don't know. Hold on. I think he's back. Chad, brother. Dude.
I think maybe you didn't know where to look. I
no.
think I was here the whole time. I didn't feel black and white, am I?
No, you just got back here. Welcome back to 2026.
Wait, am I ahead then? Because I've been here for at least a few seconds before. Should I play the lottery?
I don't know what you found today, pal. But it must be good. It must be good. Wayback Wednesday, over to you, pal. What did you find in the time machine?
Well, we didn't go quite as far back as last, but early 1900s. I told you my kids like to ask me what the 1900s were like, and every time I just give them a look. I'm like, all right, chill. All right, stop. It's weird. So on this day, on May 27th in 1904, Eli, New York Giants first baseman Dan McGann, there you see him, collects a Major League Baseball record 5 stolen bases, right, in a 3-1 win over the Brooklyn Superbas. at the Polo Grounds in New York City. That record would stand for 87 years and some change when it was broken on June 16th, 1991 by Otis Nixon of the Braves. He stole
Wow.
more than 5 bases in a game. So, 87 years. It's hard to believe. It lasted all through Ricky Henderson and everything else that, he was just hell on wheels, man, quite literally. But yeah, Otis Nixon stole 6 in a single game against who did he do that against? I don't remember. I think maybe the Expos, if I'm correct.
I know you were flying through that time machine, so I mean, I don't expect you to remember everything.
Well, I'm going off just pure memory from the 1900s, but I think I want to say it was the Expos. I could be wrong, but I believe that's who Otis Nixon stole 6 bases against. But yeah, 87 years and some change that record still.
That's crazy.
Dan, right?
Dan the Man McGann.
Dan the Man McGann. If anybody can do it, he can.
Surely he can. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, and the New York Giants would eventually move to San Francisco and become the San Francisco Giants, but not before our next item. In 1937, the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco opened to pedestrians. You could walk across that thing. I don't know if I have it in me, Eli. I don't love being suspended up over water anyway. I went to Florida once and there was a bridge where you could walk over and it was like, it was, you could see through it. And I know the holes were, you could like maybe fit like a few spaghetti noodles through the hole, but it doesn't matter. I felt like my body was going to turn into spaghetti and fall through every single hole in the bridge. I thought I was going to go through and fall in the water. It was a weird feeling. Didn't love it. Got to be honest with you. Eiffel Tower as a kid at Kings Island, not the one in Paris, but you could walk out on the metal and you could like see through it. And I'm like, nope, don't love this. Like, nope.
Yeah, not a heights guy. I don't really rock with the heights. I don't do Cedar Point, really, any of the rides. I don't do any of that.
Heights, the Heights podcast, yes.
Yeah.
Standing on tall things, nope.
Yeah, that's about as tall as I'd go is New Heights. Yes. My goodness. Yeah, cool though. Pretty cool. What?
The Heights. That's my fault.
You said that. So that's what? That's 90 or 89 years. Is that my math right? 89 years ago. Am I spot on? No, 89 years.
89. No? Yeah. For the Golden Gate. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Almost. Yeah. We're
almost 100
years. Yeah, it'll be 100 years in 19. Never mind. We're moving on.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the 1900s. Well, also in the night. You know what? Actually, everything happened in the 1900s. So there you go. In 1948, you might recognize this story from something we talked about a little bit earlier. Hank Greenberg buys an interest in the Cleveland Indians baseball team on this very day, where the Cleveland Guardians announced that Travis Kelce bought an interest in the Cleveland Guardians baseball team. So I thought that was interesting. Baseball has a way of things cyclically happening like that.
Yeah. It was, some of his nicknames, Hammer and Hank. I don't know if he should be go by Hammer and Hank, but Hankus Pankus and the Hebrew Hammer.
All right. I like Hebrew Hammer. That's fun.
You mentioned about, Golden Gate Bridge and all that jazz. He's a New York guy from Manhattan, New York.
There you go.
Interesting enough. But yeah, somebody wanted the Guardians or the Indians back then. And somebody wanted the Guardians today. Look at that.
Pretty savvy businessman, along with being a pretty good baseball player. So
the Hebrew Hammer. Would you expect nothing less?
I would expect nothing less at all. I mean, yeah, what an amazing. I know I got him in the Detroit uniform there, but that's okay. That's playing Detroit. What are you gonna do?
They could use him right now. They could probably use him.
Yeah. So I tried to keep it to things that were mostly, and the next couple aren't. But the first few things I tried to keep it to things that were mostly related, right? Like I went with Dan McGann and then the Golden Gate Bridge and Hank Greenberg related back to Travis Kelce buying a stake in the Guardians, right? So we'll keep it Guardian centric. And something else that we've talked about also on the show, this next one, I love this. Just the next year, 1949, Bill Veeck, the owner of our very own Cleveland Indians, would see his team start 12-17, and he arranged a second opening day to restart the season. Bill Veeck was an absolute maverick, man. He was fun. He brought a lot of fun into baseball, really, as an owner. He just did things completely different. He literally marched to the beat of his own drum, man. Like he was his own guy. And he said, you know what? 12-17, that's not good. So he may have been the person who gave birth to us saying, let's just wait until Memorial Day. We'll see how the Guardians are doing then. And then we'll reconvene. And then, they started 12-17 that year, about 29 games in. He said, you know what? This isn't good enough. Let's have a second opening day and we'll start all over.
I love it.
Yeah, I think Bill Beck was a lot of fun. I don't know how the rest of that season went, to be honest with you. The 49 Indians.
Well, I love it because you look at Bill Beck. He was like, "Listen, man, we're not going out like that. We're gonna make sure we have a celebration." And that just shows he loved the city of Cleveland, or loved his team at least, the Cleveland Indians at the time. And
Yeah.
you know what, Bill Beck, I appreciate that. I wish Bill Beck was rocking right now, because maybe the Cavaliers could have did a second start to the Eastern Conference Finals after game 1 and 2, and been like, you know what, those didn't happen. Series 0-0. Well, if you ask Kenny Hackett, we were
That's
we were
it.
out.
Yeah, that's it. Let's just start over. Let's start. Game 1 is Wednesday night. We'll do that. They finished 89-65 that year, third in the American League. So they missed.
Okay.
But yeah, obviously that would have been a playoff team, these days. But yeah, no playoffs for that.
The second opening day helped out, though. They were 24 games above 500.
Yeah, they got much better. So they improved. They just needed a little bit of a refresh. They just, quick squirt. Wow, words are hard. A quick squirt of toothpaste into the mouth, and boom, they were off and running. So
you had toothpaste in your mouth right there, buddy.
I had a lot. Yeah, I was really struggling. Words are hard sometimes, Eli. It's hard to say words.
You're doing great.
We're going to move ahead a little bit. We're going to go to 1971. One of my all-time favorite songs was recorded on this day.
Wow.
Imagine by John Lennon, recorded at his Ascot Sound home studio in Tittenhurst Park, England. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's a great song.
Amazing song. I mean, powerful, very powerful song. I mean, and something that relates right now to the world and what we're dealing with right now, with everything going on, worldwide, nationwide, everything. I think this is very important, an important song to go revisit. If you've never listened to this song, sorry, you need to go listen to it. If you haven't listened to the song in a while, it's been a minute for me even. I think I'll be listening to it after the show tonight. Just man, I mean, what a powerful song. John Lennon, I talked about it before with the Beatles. They have two of the greatest singer-songwriters of all time, and John Lennon and Paul McCartney. It's just incredible what that group produced. Nowadays, I'm going to date myself, but back when I was in high school in One Direction, all the girls were going crazy and they had Harry Styles and all that. You could think of things like that, but it was nobody touching the Beatles in terms of who came out and did solo careers after that and still did their absolute thing. So.
Yeah. And I just had my daughter listen to the song. She said the first time that she had heard it, right before the show, we were in the studio and she came in and told me goodnight. And I said, you know what? And she said, what's the Wayback Wednesday? And I showed her some of them or whatever. And I had her listen to this song. And she was like, it's a really pretty song, Daddy. I was like, yeah, it is a good song. She's like, I like this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really
That's
cool.
awesome. Just don't play it on prime time or we'll have to be shut down.
Yep. Nope, can't do that. Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
I can't imagine the license fee for Beatles songs. It's very inexpensive, so we'll move on from that. But also on this day, on May 27th in 1994, the Arsenio Hall Show signs off the final broadcast of the TV talk show, the first iteration of the Arsenio Hall Show, which aired from 1989 to 1994, 6 seasons, was 1,406 episodes. It premiered on January 3rd of 1989 and ran until this day in 1994.
This is so cool. Arsenio Hall, he was actually born, and raised in the city's east side, or like the east side of Cleveland. Mm-hmm. So he's a Clevelander. He's a big Cleveland guy. He was in the ESPN 30 for 30, the documentary for Cleveland and everything. It's so cool. I think you were mentioning, you may have already mentioned, so my apologies. Again, this is like my flu game, so I may miss a few things. But Arsenio Hall, you were mentioning about the dog pound too, like the section of fans with the dog pound and stuff. Yeah. And that's so cool. He uses Cleveland through and through, even when he left Cleveland. And that's something I'm like big on as like a community creator, is like, don't forget where you came from. Like, just because you become Hollywood or stuff like that doesn't mean you have to be Hollywood all the way. You still can, enjoy yourself and be a Clevelander. And I think that's so important. And I think he is a great representation of the city and somebody that showed success at a high rate for a long time. So,
and like you said, stayed true to his Cleveland roots. It's, I think, like you said, it's really easy to move out to LA and become LA, right? You get just totally engulfed in the culture. There's a lot going on. It's happening very, very quickly, or New York City or whatever. It's easy to go to one of these big cities and kind of, become, whatever. I don't know how to say it, Los Angelesian, maybe.
Los Angelanian.
Los Angeles.
I'm gonna look that up. Hold on.
Fair enough. Yeah, you look that up. But I stayed very true to Cleveland. So yeah, I think that's cool. And I remember watching that show as a kid too. It was just it was a cool show. It was fun.
And Angelino.
Okay.
Not to be mixed up with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, no, those are two different things, but that's okay. That's okay. We're bringing things together. That was the Wayback Wednesday was about bringing things together tonight for the most part. I was trying to be congruent with some of those things.
Well, I love it. Yeah, you know what? I'll take it. That works out. I'm glad you made it back here safely. You used the right stuff this time. The Diesel, appreciate you. I know that stuff can be a little...
ran much smoother, by the way. Yeah, no, there wasn't the shaking and bumping that we had last time. I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, man, and with the price of diesel nowadays, you're a real trooper for paying for that because I certainly wasn't throwing in this week. I paid for the diesel last week and it didn't get used. So
okay, little trick. Didn't want to be really honest about this, but I here's what I did. I kind of went in with an empty tank and I filled up back in 1904.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. Okay. All right. Okay. I love it. I love it.
We have to see when diesel was even.
I love it. I love it. Let's see. Diesel.
Oh yeah,
diesel.
1893. We were good. Yeah, 1904 is when I found it. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, don't grab it now because All right, Chad B. Great job with Wayback Wednesday as always. Glad you're back. Glad you made it safely. Glad the Bryan household will not be mad at me for a week here. That's good news. So before we get out of here, let's get some final thoughts. Would you like to go first, or would you like I to go first?
I think I would like you to go first.
I'd love it. Okay, absolutely. I want to share some stuff. I don't do a lot of TV talk. I'm going to share some stuff about TV talk tonight. Papa Moon and I are hooked right now on a Netflix show called Nemesis.
Okay.
Really good. It's actually from the creator of Power. Put this show together. It's 1 season, 8 episodes. It's called Nemesis. It's really, really good. I've been hooked on it pretty much all day. Like I said, I've been a little under the weather, just trying to take care of what I got to take care of, but also taking care of myself and recouping. And Paz and I just sat here, and it was nice to enjoy some time with Papa Moon. And he's off from the regular gig today, so we were able to chill out, watch Nemesis, enjoy some crazy back and forth cops and robbers type kind of thing, but really multi-layered. You start feeling for everybody. Man, but they're going through stuff too, man. And I think it's such a cool story, cool episodes, cool series. So I'm curious to see how it finishes this season and if there's a season 2. I guess I'll find out if I want a season 2 when I get to the end. I'm in episode 5 out of 8. I had to put it on pause because we got a show to do. So but that's my takeaway for tonight. My final thoughts are, if you need a good show to watch, I'm usually not the guy to recommend that, but I would say Nemesis on Netflix was a great watch. It has been a great watch. Papa Moon and I will probably binge watch the rest of it tomorrow. And heck, if you want to, tell me how you felt about Nemesis tomorrow night, because I'll probably be done by then.
There you go. I feel like with a lot of shows, it's they're written for 1 season, right? And then they're immensely popular. And I don't know how that works really. If Netflix calls whoever and they're like, "Hey, this is doing us both favors. Write season 2 quick," right? Yeah. And then it's it gets ruined because it wasn't meant to be 2 seasons or 3 or 4 or whatever. It gets dragged out a little bit, or sometimes like you said, you'll see if you want a season 2 when you get to the end. Sometimes you can write a really good story and then people don't know. I don't want to say they don't know, but maybe they write the wrong ending, right? The ending feels off for that show or for the particular, whatever, the journey that you've gone through in the 8 or 10, 12 episodes, whatever it is. Sometimes the ending can completely ruin that whole experience. And it kind of makes you feel like, I'm not even going to come back. And
were you a Sopranos ending guy?
Well, see, I was just going to bring that up. I don't mind the Sopranos ending because that show was so immensely popular. It went so many different directions during the 7, 8 seasons, whatever you want to call it, that it was on, that it almost had to end on this open-ended, hey, just kind of, it's like you choose your own adventure, right? What do you think happened, right?
I love it. I love that ending. A lot of people are mad about it, but I love it.
Because people want to see everything tied up into a bow, but listen, that's not real life. Things don't get tied up into a neat bow all the time. Sometimes things start and they go off and they're amazing, and then they just sort of fall apart. And there is no bow. There's no pretty, happy ending for everybody. There's no whatever. Sometimes there's no concrete bad ending for everybody. They just sort of end, right?
Yeah.
I love that it just sort of ended. I didn't mind it. I listen. The Sopranos, I think I've said this on the show before, is my favorite thing that's ever been on TV. I've probably been through that series at least 8 or 10 times. I no longer have HBO Max. Otherwise, I'd probably have been through it 15 or 20 times by now.
Yeah.
It is by far my favorite thing that's ever been on TV on any kind of a screen. It was amazing. It still holds up. There are some cringy episodes and some cringy moments, but I mean, the show holds up overall. It's amazing television. Absolutely amazing.
Can I be honest with you?
Sure.
I think Tony Soprano kicked that guy's ass.
Fair enough.
I think he kicked his ass. Because
Hey,
he ain't going out like a sucker, no way. Come on, right? All right.
right.
Go ahead, Chad B. What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts were that really, I just wanted to talk about TV and endings and seasons and things. I just think sometimes, it can get a little. Sometimes you have to leave well enough alone, and I think that's probably a good lesson for life. Like too much of even a good thing can be too much, right? So if you find a show, Netflix or whatever streaming service that works for one season, don't force season two. The money grab I don't like, right? Like we're not going to just put 8 episodes of garbage out because we know everybody's going to come back and the advertisement and whatever we can make money but it stinks, right? It doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad the Sopranos got out when they did, because it was starting to get to that point where like life was changing a little bit, right? And it was going to be hard to keep going on, and there were all kinds of rifts behind the scenes, and people weren't getting along, and it was going to get worse, right? It was going to fall apart. So I'm glad they got out when they did. I didn't mind the ending. Sometimes you just have to get out while you're on top. Look at a show like Seinfeld. Seinfeld probably could have gone on. It could have gone on for another 5 or 6, 7 years, but they decided to go out on top, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Sometimes you just got to know when to end it, right? You got to know when to walk away. And I mean, I guess I could sing The Gambler, but that
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, you got to know when
to run.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear me sing, but yeah, sometimes you got to know. You got to know when to walk away from something, even a good thing. You got to know when to walk away.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely, Chabby. Hey, sound advice from a very wise 46-year-old chicken sandwich, and I appreciate you so much. Chabby, as always, gonna rock with me and rock with all y'all. We are gonna rock with you every weeknight, 10 to 11 p.m. here. If you enjoyed what you saw tonight, if it's your first time, hello. We're here with you. If it's your 10th, 100th time, we thank you for coming back and rocking with us, choosing us as Cleveland's digital leader, your source of sports, entertainment, mental health conversations, news, and everything in between. Make sure that you go ahead and like, follow, subscribe, all that great stuff. Hit that notification bell at InsideEdge Net on all the socials. Yeah. And of course, you'll stay locked in with everything Chad and I got going 10 to 11 p.m. here on InsideEdge Primetime, Unfiltered with Kyle Cornell, 5 to 6 p.m. weekdays here throughout the week with Kyle Cornell. Of course, does a great job with news, current events, all that stuff, and a little bit of sports, and gets us ready. Hands it off over to us later on in the night for the daily portion of things. And then we hand it off to Double A Anthony Alford. He gets unhinged for Midnight Run from midnight to 1 a.m. weeknights with Anthony Alford, the program director of the Inside Edge Network, who we appreciate so much. Our bro, he's going to do a great job. We have Midnight Conversations returning tonight. Omar, myself, Double A, we're gonna do some conversations. Where we're gonna figure out what's going on.
A really dumb thing to you. I almost said, is it Wednesday?
That time machine really wrecked you, pal. Midnight Run with Anthony Alford at midnight. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow Inside Edge Net so you know when the next stream happens. So you know when Midnight Run launches. And of course, InsideEdgeNetwork.com, InsideEdgeNetwork.com. Go read about Chad and I, all your favorite personalities. Go to the partners page because we couldn't do it without them. W Energy, Monster Moments, SportsMemorabilia.com, Fanatics.com, and Alley Roads Fragrances.com. Could not do it without you. So go to that QR code at home and go to the InsideEdgeNetwork.com because we couldn't do it without you. And for that, we have a promo code at the shop. 20% off your order till the end of May. Get your mug, get your shirt, get your polo, get your hat, get your windbreaker. Get it all for 20% off until the end of May. If we get there on the InsideEdgeNetwork.com, if we get those 10 purchases, Kyle Cornell shaves my head on an episode of Unfiltered June 1st. So we'll see how much longer the hair rocks. All right. So on the saddle is in the saddle. I don't understand anymore. We're going to put a bow on this thing. That's Chad Bryan to my right. You're right. I'm Eli Moon. We say thank you again for tuning in with our craziness. We appreciate you every single night as much as everybody does in the Inside Edge Network for supporting. If you missed Jersey Chasers earlier, go back and watch it in the time you have between now and Midnight Run. Check out Autumn and Christie. And then, of course, get back to the stream for Midnight Run with Double A Anthony Alford. For Chad Bryan to my right, you're right. Everybody's right. I'm Eli Moon. This is Inside Edge Primetime here on the Inside Edge Network. Until tomorrow, stay safe. Remember, we love you, we appreciate you, and we can't wait to be wild with you again tomorrow night. See you then.